The moment she saw his screen, her breath stopped, and for the first time in years, a powerful CEO felt completely helpless. Her fingers froze mid-air, her mind unable to process what she was looking at. The room around her, the sleek glass walls, the glowing monitors, the hum of a billion-dollar company, faded into silence. All that remained was the quiet, broken world inside a poor janitor's laptop, a world she never expected to see. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the hidden strength of ordinary people, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Stories like this remind us that humanity still exists in the smallest places. Daniel Harris was a man the world had forgotten. At 32, he worked nights as a janitor in one of the city's largest tech firms, silently cleaning up after people who earned more in a day than he did in months. His uniform was always neat, though faded, and his eyes carried a permanent exhaustion that sleep could never fix. But behind that tired expression was something deeper, an unbreakable determination shaped by loss. 3 years earlier, Daniel's wife had passed away after a sudden illness, leaving him alone with their newborn daughter, Lily. Since then, life had become a relentless cycle of survival. He worked double shifts, skipped meals, and sacrificed everything just to keep a small roof over their heads. Every night, after putting Lily to sleep, he would sit beside her crib, promising silently that one day, things would be better. The office he cleaned belonged to Victoria Hale, the CEO of Hale Dynamics. She was known for her sharp mind, ruthless decisions, and an almost robotic focus on success. To her employees, she was a symbol of power. To her competitors, she was fear itself. But behind her polished image, Victoria carried her own quiet loneliness, buried beneath years of ambition. Their worlds were never meant to collide. One evening, long after most employees had gone home, Daniel was cleaning the executive floor when he noticed Victoria's office door slightly open. Inside, her laptop sat on the desk, its screen flickering. He hesitated. It wasn't his place. But the screen suddenly went black, and something about the situation felt urgent. He stepped inside, cautiously. Daniel wasn't just a janitor. Years ago, before life had taken everything from him, he had been a gifted computer science student. But when his wife fell ill, he dropped out to care for her. Dreams didn't matter anymore, only survival did. He gently touched the laptop, diagnosing the issue almost instinctively. A corrupted system file. Simple, yet critical. With careful precision, he began fixing it, his fingers moving across the keyboard with a familiarity he hadn't felt in years. That's when Victoria walked in. She stopped at the doorway, her expression tightening as she saw him standing at her desk. For a moment, anger flashed in her eyes. But then she noticed something strange. The janitor wasn't fumbling. He wasn't panicking. He was working, with confidence, with skill. She didn't interrupt. Instead, she stepped closer, silently watching over his shoulder. And then she saw it. On the screen, alongside the system repair tools, was a small window open in the corner. At first glance, it looked like lines of code. But as Victoria leaned in, her heart skipped. It wasn't just code. It was a program, unfinished, raw, but brilliant. Daniel didn't notice her at first. He was too focused, too absorbed in something he clearly loved. The program was an AI-based predictive system, something even her top engineers had struggled to perfect. But this was different. Elegant. Efficient. Innovative in a way she hadn't seen before. Her mind raced. How could a janitor? Daniel finally sensed her presence and turned. The moment he saw her, his face drained of color. Fear gripped him instantly. He stepped back, apologizing quickly, his voice trembling as he tried to explain that he was only fixing her laptop. Victoria barely heard him. Her eyes were still locked on the screen. Daniel followed her gaze, and in that instant, something shifted. A deep vulnerability surfaced. That small window on the screen wasn't meant for anyone else to see. It was his secret, his quiet rebellion against the life he had been forced into. Every night, after exhausting shifts, Daniel would open his old laptop at home and work on his idea. He didn't have the resources, the education, or the connections anymore, but he had passion. And hope. This program was his way out, his chance to give Lily a better life. Victoria asked him one simple question, not with authority, but with curiosity. He hesitated. Then, slowly, he told her the truth. He told her about his past. About the dreams he had buried. About the nights he spent coding while his daughter slept beside him. About the countless times he almost gave up, but didn't. Victoria listened. For the first time in years, she wasn't thinking about profits, deadlines, or competition. She was seeing something real. Something human. She looked back at the screen, and something inside her cracked. All her life, she had built walls, believing that success came from control, from perfection. But here was a man who had lost everything, and still found a way to create something extraordinary. The next few days changed everything. Victoria couldn't stop thinking about Daniel's program. She had her team analyze it discreetly. Their reaction was unanimous. It was groundbreaking. Not perfect, but filled with potential far beyond what they had expected from even experienced developers. She called Daniel into her office. He walked in with the same quiet humility, expecting perhaps a warning, or worse, termination. Instead, she offered him something he never imagined. An opportunity. Victoria didn't promise him success. She didn't offer him an easy path. But she gave him a chance, a real one. She arranged for him to join a special development project within the company, with resources, mentorship, and a salary that could finally ease his struggles. Daniel was overwhelmed. It wasn't just about the job. It was about being seen. For the first time in years, someone looked past his uniform and recognized his worth. But the journey wasn't easy. Daniel faced doubt, from others and from himself. Many questioned how a janitor could suddenly become part of an elite team. Some resented him. Others underestimated him. But Daniel had spent years fighting battles no one had seen. This was nothing new. He worked harder than anyone else, often staying late into the night. Each line of code he wrote carried the weight of his past and the hope for his daughter's future. Victoria watched from a distance. She saw his determination, his quiet resilience, and something else, his kindness. Despite everything he had been through, Daniel remained humble, always willing to help others, always grateful for the smallest things. Slowly, the team began to accept him. Respect replaced doubt. And then, one day, the program was ready. It wasn't just successful, it was revolutionary. The company soared to new heights, and Daniel's work became the foundation of something much bigger than anyone had imagined. But for Daniel, the real victory wasn't recognition or success. It was the moment he walked into his small apartment, picked up Lily, and realized that her future was no longer uncertain. Victoria stood at her office window that evening, looking out at the city skyline. For years, she had believed that power came from control. But now she understood something deeper. Sometimes, the greatest strength lies in seeing others, not for who they are on the surface, but for who they truly are underneath. Before this story ends, take a moment to comment below. Do you believe one act of kindness can change someone's entire life? Because in Daniel's case, it did. And if this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support helps bring more stories of hope, resilience, and humanity to the world. Because sometimes, all it takes, is one person to look a little closer.